Over half of the tomato passata sold in American supermarkets contains pesticide residues that could be threatening your health. Independent lab tests conducted in 2023 and 2025 revealed that 10 out of 24 bottles examined contain substances that are either banned or suspected of causing cancer. This means millions of Americans are unknowingly pouring pesticides into their sauces every single day. Chemicals known to disrupt hormones, damage the endocrine system, and accumulate in your body for years. We have meticulously analyzed every test, every lab report, and every study from both American and international consumer protection agencies. Our goal is to expose the 7 brands you must absolutely avoid and highlight 2 that have genuinely earned our trust. By the end of this, I will show you precisely how to identify high-quality passata, because the difference between a good and a bad choice could cost you much more than a few dollars at the checkout. Your health is on the line with every purchase. Let's begin with brand number 7 on our list to avoid, Hunt's. As one of the most recognizable American brands, Hunt's is owned by the global conglomerate Conagra Brands. While the company's history dates back decades, recent tests have uncovered some deeply disturbing results. In a 2020 study from the Consumer Federation of America, Hunt's tomato passata scored a mere 58 out of 100 points, earning a quality rating of just average. The laboratory analysis detected residues from 2 separate pesticides. The first was dimethomorph, a substance suspected of having anti-androgenic effects, which can interfere with your hormonal balance and potentially affect fertility. The second was azoxystrobin, a compound that is toxic to aquatic environments and leaches into soil and groundwater. While both were technically within legal limits, their simultaneous presence strongly suggests an intensive chemical treatment of the tomatoes in the field. No other passata in the same test contained 2 different residues at once. Hunt's promotes an image of American tradition and farm-fresh quality, but the reality is significantly more complicated. Its parent company, Conagra Brands, operates a massive global supply chain that spans multiple continents. The tomatoes might originate from various countries, get mixed in enormous batches, and are then processed in huge industrial facilities. Consequently, the ability to trace the product's origin is minimal. You might see a label that says, "Product of USA and imported ingredients," but you have no real way of knowing if the tomatoes came from Italy, Spain, or Mexico. You cannot know what safety standards were applied at a specific farm, how frequently the crops were sprayed, or precisely which chemicals were used. This ambiguity is deliberate. It provides the corporation with the flexibility to source raw materials at the absolute lowest market prices. In sensory taste tests, Hunt's tomato passata received a mediocre rating. Consumers described the flavor as flat, lacking character, and having no real depth. A high-quality passata should possess a natural sweetness, a light acidity, and a fresh taste that brings to mind ripe, flavorful fruit. Hunt's simply doesn't offer that experience. It's a functional product and nothing more. Priced at around $2.50 for a 21-ounce bottle, Hunt's positions itself as a mid-range option. Considering the questionable ingredients and underwhelming taste, however, you have to question if it's truly worth it. The simple fact is that the quality does not justify the price tag. You're paying for a recognizable brand name and marketing-fueled nostalgia, not for the actual value of the product. Number 6, Del Monte. Del Monte is a brand owned by Conagra Brands, one of the largest American food corporations with annual revenues soaring into the billions of dollars. Conagra has an enormous influence on the American market, but when it comes to their tomato puree, that corporate size certainly doesn't seem to translate into superior quality. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Lab tests conducted by SGS in 2024 revealed the presence of not 1, not 2, but 3 different pesticide residues in Del Monte's tomato puree. 3 of them. First was spirotetramat, a known endocrine disruptor that interferes with the hormonal system. Then, tebuconazole, a substance suspected of being a carcinogen, which is currently under review by the Environmental Protection Agency. And finally, boscalid, a compound suspected of having a harmful effect on reproduction. A combination of three problematic substances in a single, everyday product should be a blaring alarm for any health-conscious consumer. Endocrine disruptors can be active even at incredibly low doses, often far below the officially established safety limits. So even if a single serving contains amounts technically considered safe, regular consumption over months and years leads to a dangerous accumulation in the body, particularly within fat tissue. Scientific studies published in reputable medical journals have linked these very substances to a range of terrifying health issues, including premature puberty in girls, serious fertility problems in men, thyroid dysfunction, and an increased risk of certain hormone-dependent cancers. In organoleptic tests, Del Monte received a distinctly below-average score. Professional tasters noted a severe lack of flavor intensity, a texture that was far too thin and watery, and a faint but noticeable metallic aftertaste that should never, ever be present in high-quality tomato products. A good tomato puree should be thick, velvety, and bursting with the unmistakable aroma of fresh, sun-ripened tomatoes. Del Monte simply fails to meet this fundamental standard. The issue with brands owned by massive conglomerates like Conagra is that production is ruthlessly optimized for volume and profit margin, not for flavor or purity. The actual quality of what you're eating becomes a secondary concern. A 23-ounce jar of Del Monte tomato puree costs around $3. It's not the absolute cheapest option on the shelf, but it's a long way from the premium segment. For that price, you are purchasing a mediocre, watery product that is contaminated with a cocktail of 3 different pesticides. It's a terrible investment in every conceivable dimension. Number 5. Contadina. Contadina, a brand which is part of the J.M. Smucker Company portfolio, scored a dismal 54 points in tests from 2025, indicating a very low-quality product. The laboratory detected dimethomorph and boscalid, 2 known endocrine disruptors. But the bad news didn't stop there. Additionally, the test revealed a disappointingly low lycopene content. Lycopene is the primary, powerful antioxidant in tomatoes, known for its role in helping protect the body against heart disease and certain types of cancer. A low level like this strongly suggests the use of cheap, unripe tomatoes or an overly aggressive thermal processing method that simply destroys the valuable nutrients. When it came to taste, the puree was described as watery and completely devoid of any depth of flavor. Consumers used terms like diluted, bland, and unremarkable to describe the lackluster experience. This brand belongs to a massive corporate group where critical decisions are made by executives staring at spreadsheets, not by people who care about what ends up on your family's dinner plate. This relentless drive for cost optimization inevitably leads to the use of cheaper, inferior raw materials and more lenient quality control. Priced at around $2.75 a bottle, any small savings you might think you're getting at the checkout line could end up costing you your health in the long run. Number 4. Kroger's store brand. Kroger is a massive American supermarket chain with its own line of budget-friendly products for customers looking for low prices. In tests from 2024, its puree received a mere 52 points. The quality was rated as low. Lab analysis detected difenoconazole and boscalid, both of which are known endocrine disruptors. The core problem with these generic store brands is the complete lack of transparency. Kroger outsources the production to various third-party manufacturers, often on incredibly tight, low-cost contracts. The label might vaguely state product of USA and Mexico, but never a specific farm or even a state. This deliberate vagueness allows them to swap suppliers constantly without ever needing to update the packaging. The result is zero consistency and absolutely no guarantee of quality from one jar to the next. In blind taste tests, it received the lowest marks for flavor. Testers described it as flat, with a faint but noticeable cardboard aftertaste, and the consistency was far too thin and watery. Kroger's brand puree sells for around $1.50 for a 24-ounce jar. When a product contains a cocktail of pesticides and tastes like water, any savings you think you're getting are purely an illusion. Coming in at number 3 is Target's Good & Gather brand. In tests conducted in 2025, their passata received a disappointing 50 points, with the quality officially deemed unsatisfactory. The lab work uncovered 3 different pesticides: dimethomorph, azoxystrobin, and propamocarb. That last one, propamocarb, is particularly concerning. It's a substance suspected of having mutagenic and carcinogenic properties, meaning it has the potential to cause genetic mutations in cancer. The Environmental Protection Agency has been pushing to restrict its use for years. To find it in a common pantry staple like tomato puree is completely unacceptable. During the taste test, the scores were abysmal. Panelists noted a total absence of genuine tomato flavor, a thin consistency, and a lingering bitter aftertaste. One tester even remarked that it tastes like that cheap canned tomato soup from a school cafeteria. Target sells this for around $1.60 a bottle. But that price tag conceals the true cost you're paying. The real price is the pesticides accumulating in your body and the bland, ruined flavor in every dish you prepare. At the number 2 spot, we have Walmart's Great Value brand. Walmart, as America's largest retailer, is synonymous with rock-bottom prices. However, in 2025 tests, its tomato puree received a shocking 48 points, one of the lowest scores in the entire study. An alarming 4 different pesticides were detected: dimethomorph, azoxystrobin, boscalid, and cyproconazole. That last chemical, cyproconazole, is a fungicide whose authorization was revoked in many places due to its proven reprotoxic effects, meaning it can cause serious harm to the reproductive system. Even if its use is restricted on American farms, it can still enter our food supply through raw ingredients imported from countries with more lenient regulation. The presence of 4 pesticides at once was a grim record among the samples tested. The taste tests yielded the lowest possible scores. The product was described as completely devoid of any tomato flavor, watery, and having an unpleasant chemical aftertaste. Its consistency was so thin that it looked more like juice than a puree, a clear sign that they're using the worst possible tomatoes, likely unripe or damaged fruit. Walmart sells this for about $1.20 for a 21-ounce jar. This isn't a bargain. It's you buying a product that should never have been allowed on a grocery store shelf in the first place. And now for number 1, the absolute worst of them all, the private label brand from Save-A-Lot. Save-A-Lot is a discount grocery chain often found in smaller towns and budget-conscious neighborhoods. In 2024 tests, its puree received a horrifying 40 points. This was the lowest score recorded, as the laboratory detected an unbelievable 5 different pesticides. 5, an absolute record. This toxic cocktail included dimethomorph, azoxystrobin, boscalid, difenoconazole, and spirotetramat. Nearly all of them are known endocrine disruptors or suspected carcinogens. The presence of 5 pesticides at once indicates either extreme chemical treatment during farming or the blending of raw materials from numerous, cheap, dubious sources, each of which was intensively sprayed. The taste test results were catastrophic. The professional tasters used words like inedible, disgusting, and chemical sludge. The consistency itself was separated, with a watery layer floating on top of a gritty, unappealing pulp. The water had separated from the denser solids. That's a telltale sign of extremely low quality. It retails for about $1.50. It's the cheapest on the market, but that price perfectly reflects what you're getting: industrial waste packaged in a jar. When you buy this, you're buying a chemical cocktail with a hint of tomato. It's straight up poison in your kitchen. Now let's talk about two brands that have truly earned your trust. Number 1, Muti. If you have to pick just one passata from the supermarket shelves, make it Muti. In recent tests conducted in 2024 and 2025, it scored an impressive 78 out of 100 points, earning it a rating of excellent quality. Muti is an Italian farming company founded back in 1899. That's over 125 years of experience. They are a global leader, exporting their products to 100 countries. Muti employs a rigorous selection process for their tomatoes, using only perfectly ripe fruits with 0 defects, all of which are picked by hand. The tomatoes are processed within 24 hours of being harvested, which guarantees maximum freshness and locks in all the nutrients. Every single batch is thoroughly tested in their laboratory. When it comes to pesticide tests, Muti came out completely clean. 0 residues were found. The flavor is truly exceptional: a balanced sweetness, a delicate acidity, and an intense aroma. The consistency is creamy and velvety, making it perfect for sauces and soups. In sensory evaluation tests, it received the highest possible marks, with tasters using words like authentic, rich, and full-flavored. A 24-ounce jar of Muti costs around $5. Yes, it's a higher price, but you're investing in unparalleled quality. Every spoonful delivers the genuine taste of sun-ripened tomatoes with no shortcuts taken. Muti competes on quality, and that's what makes all the difference. Number 2, Cheerio. If Muti is the absolute best, then Cheerio is the best value. In tests from 2024, it received 74 points, earning it a very good quality rating and a Best Buy designation. Cheerio is another legacy Italian brand founded in 1856 with nearly 170 years of tradition. In pesticide tests, it showed only trace amounts of a single substance, far below the legal limit, making it practically clean. Cheerio uses Italian tomatoes grown in the southern regions, where the climate is ideal for cultivation without the need for excessive chemicals. The company controls its entire supply chain from the field to the bottle, ensuring full traceability. The flavor is simply excellent. It has a natural sweetness, a light acidity, and a fresh aftertaste. The consistency is thick and rich. During taste tests, it scored very high marks, with consumers praising its authenticity and versatility. A 24-ounce jar of Cheerio costs about $4, offering an outstanding quality-to-price ratio. You're paying just a little more than you would for an average store brand, but you're getting quality that's nearly top of the line. Cheerio proves that you don't have to spend a fortune to eat well. Now I'm going to show you how to spot a high-quality passata on your own. Rule number 1, read the label very carefully. Look for 100% Italian tomatoes or a clearly specified country of origin. Avoid vague phrases like product of the European Union or international origin. This kind of ambiguity is often used to hide blends from countries with lower quality standards. Rule number 2, check the ingredients list. The best passata contains only tomatoes and at most a little salt or citric acid. If you see more than 3 ingredients, the product is overly processed. Rule number 3, pay attention to the packaging. Dark glass jars protect the contents from light. Clear glass, on the other hand, allows light rays to penetrate, which can degrade the quality of the tomatoes inside. Darker bottles do a much better job of preserving that fresh from the vine quality and flavor. Rule number 4, be skeptical of suspiciously low prices. A high-quality passata will typically run you between $4 and $7 for a standard 24-ounce jar. Anything selling for less than $3 probably means they've made compromises somewhere. either in the quality of the tomatoes they selected or in the processing itself. Rule number 5, look for certifications. Labels like DOP, which stands for Protected Designation of Origin, or IGP, guarantee that the product comes from a specific European region and was made using traditional methods. The USDA Organic Seal confirms the absence of synthetic pesticides. But just remember, organic doesn't automatically equal better flavor. Rule number 6, trust independent testing. Respected organizations like Consumer Reports conduct their own laboratory analyses on all sorts of products. Following their findings is a fantastic way to protect yourself from deceptive marketing claims and get the real story on what you're buying. Rule number 7, buy from transparent brands. Companies like Muti and Sirio are known for openly declaring the origin of their tomatoes, their processing methods, and even the chemical parameters of their products. This level of transparency is a huge sign of confidence. After all, if a company has something to hide, they're going to hide the information. So, we've gone over the 7 brands you absolutely need to avoid and the 2 that have truly earned our trust. The next time you're standing in front of that shelf in the grocery store aisle, just pause for a moment. Read the label, check the origin, and evaluate the price. Don't let clever marketing make the decision for you. Choose a passata that still carries the scent of the field it came from. What brand do you use? Have you ever tried Muti or Cheerio? Let me know down in the comments. And if this investigation has opened your eyes, make sure to subscribe to the channel to see more exposés that the big supermarkets don't want you to see. Yeah.